things that you missed before start jumping out at you. So the thing that I'm noticing now is that my perspective is all messed up. Because I have the character theoretically standing on the ground plane here. At this height. And then rising up, which is fine, like jumping into the air or flying for a second to cast this spell, but then coming back down, standing in a completely different location. So that doesn't work at all. So gonna need to fix this. Maybe that's what I meant by this fix pose note, but regardless. And then I left myself this other note. Increase the contrast between 2 and 3. Okay. I agree that something must be done. And I'm assuming, since I left myself this note, that I wasn't really sure what it was that needed to be done. I really should do this more consistently. That would probably help. Okay, well, let's get rid of that note and think about this a little bit. I think this can actually be a pretty easy fix. I think. No, why would you do that? The way that the object operator works in Clip Studio makes no sense. If I'm on this layer and I go to select something, why would it move the background instead of the layer that I'm on? Okay, well, the other issue let's go through and count the number of frames where the Okay, just two. At this point, but there's that. Yeah, that kind of fixes it. Okay. So this pose here needs to essentially match the background perspective, but just be shifted over a little bit, and maybe slightly different like body weight distribution. So let's just say no to this whole thing, and we're gonna do character on top of another version of the character that pretty much matches what you need. That's the place part. And then you trace what you've got. That's the trace part. So, because the only difference here is going to be the arm, we can just put the arm in and then trace the rest of it off of the previous drawing. So let's see. Also keeping in mind that this arm is the skeleton arm. And why am I drawing in blue? Oh, because I have blue selected. So, So, we've done the place and trace. Now, we're just gonna, let's see, she's gonna end up, I think we want to pull her this way, just a little bit. And then just like around right at the upper arm. Is where the skeleton arm starts. Let's So there's the humors, the radius, and ulna. I'm not getting too detailed with the anatomy because I don't feel like it, and because the animation isn't really that detailed either. So don't feel too bad about it. It's kind of a weird angle for this look. I wouldn't want the hand to be coming straight off like that. Let's see, we want a bit of an angle. Sort of like this. We've got, that's what I'm going for. So this straight across, right? With a something like that, I think. No, I think the thumb would be a little more visible there. And then we've got, she's going to be holding both the dagger and the sickle. One behind the other. this shape here, this one, because she's got this sort of a necklace thing, and it's covered by the hair, but I drew it anyway because it tells me where I'm putting the top of her shoulder here, so I know if I'm on the right track. And then I can go in and erase it later, and it's not wasted effort. It's the idea of just drawing through. You just draw shapes even if you're going to cover them up later. There's no downside to just doing more drawing. Okay, so she's probably, my brush got a little too big there. I think we probably still see, even though we're straight on, we'll see a little curve on the belt because we're looking up and a little bit. But it's going up. This arm is just off screen here. Bag a little too small. This pose is better, but I don't love it still. This is going in the good enough category for the moment. Obviously, everything here will be cleaned up. We're on the, I think with this drawing, we've officially moved on to the tight rough stage. Once we get our basic idea down, we can just go in and turn the drawings from something that looks like this into something that looks more like this, So what I'm normally going to do is add a new layer here. Let me show what I'm doing a little bit. So this is the layer where the drawing is on. This is the frame itself, this folder, and then the contents of the frame are the layer, the two layers I put in here. This layer 2 right now is completely blank. You can see if I turn it on and off, it doesn't change anything. So what I'm normally going to do is knock back the rough drawing that I have, and then on a new layer go in and start, deciding what things actually look like. Much more carefully than I just did there. But for now, for this very first one, because the background is the pose that I'm looking for here, this is the pose that I did first, I can just trace it just for this first layer. So I'm actually going to just move this first block in off. And then on my layer 2 here. Oh, actually, there's one other thing that's fun. This is just if you're working in Clip Studio, if you have a layer here and you want to set it as a reference layer, sometimes you want to knock it back, change the opacity so that it's lighter. But then sometimes even then it's hard to tell where you've drawn, right? What you can do is up here in the effects section, which is under the layer properties, there's a layer color button. And it'll just turn the layer blue. And you can go in here and pick the color. You can select this and you can pick from a slot. I have a few standard colors that I use. But you can also go and get crazy with it. So it doesn't have to be blue, but you just set a color and then it just turns everything on that layer blue. And then, when you're going in and drawing over it, it's very clear where you've drawn and where you haven't. Because you're drawing in black, you can see the color difference pretty easily. So you can see here, I don't even really have to turn down the opacity if I don't want to, because the difference between the black and the blue is so obvious. And then it's very easy to just toggle it off. Just like that. And so there you can see when it's black, it's very hard to tell where I've drawn, but if I turn it blue, it's very clear that I've started drawing over right in this section here. So that's a fun little feature that Clip Studio Paint has. But again, I'm not going to use it on this first frame, because my first frame is just this drawing that I did originally as the background. So I'm actually going to turn it up a little bit, and I'm going to turn it blue. So we're taking what we just learned and putting it into practice. Isn't that fun? It is. Okay. So now I'm just going through and tracing what I've got put down already. Although I did decide earlier that I thought that this ear was in a bad way. So I'm going to fix that a little bit. I think I'm not yet at the stage where I care what her wreath looks like. That day will come, but it is not this day. That is a little Return of the King quote for you, all you Aragorn heads out there. This first one is going to be definitely the easiest of these to do. My little I don't like that. Don't like that either. This first one is the easiest to do the rough for, because I've actually done the work of this drawing already. I'm not going to get too finicky with the fingers right now either. Oh, I turned the whole timeline off. That was dumb. Huh. Okay. So now, I'm going to go back to this background and make it not blue, because I don't want it to be blue. I'm going to knock it back in opacity. So that it's more visible. And let me... Oh no, have I been talking this whole time and not being heard? My OBS says that the mic is recording, so that would be terrible if that were a lie. I've got the little thing that's buzzing. Every time I talk. Oh man. Oh, I am talking. Okay, I'm just quiet. Oh, I can live with that. Probably at some point I should turn the gain up on this thing, but I'm at max volume in OBS already. Maybe I'll turn down a little bit. Okay. Let's see. So now my job is to turn this mess into something that looks more like that. So we're going to add a new layer. We're going to turn this one blue, knock it back, and then see what we this action right here. Alright, I have gotten some tech support, and maybe my mic will be better now. If there's one thing I know nothing about, it is audio equipment. Alright. I'm glad the sound is better. Right now I'm not really focusing on getting too detailed with things like the hand. If the hand gets involved in the animation, then I'll mess with it, but for now I'm just gonna kind of leave it in this kind of palm, thumb, finger as a mitten kind of way. That arm is too skinny. And so is that shoulder. Bringing the head down too far. Is that? No, that's not better. Yeah, that's a little better. So this right here is the bread and butter of animation. Just flipping back and forth over and over again until it looks like it's kind of making sense. And I think I need to turn off this layer so my lines aren't confusing me. Okay, yeah, so that's the gist of it. $50 minutes of work for this. Could a depressed person do this? Ha 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 ha. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna pause there because it's a work night. But I will try to be more consistent about getting back on the stream this Wednesday. Thank you for joining. Have a good night.